This is Bruce, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about recent NIST ransomware guide. So let's just read through this. I'll keep this brief and straight to the point. All right, so this guide is because there's so many ransomware attacks that have been happening all over the world, really. It's just the easiest target right now. That's what attackers do. It's what criminals do. They go after the easiest target. The soft targets is what they do. So, for example, they went after the Colonial Pipeline in May 2021 and took it out because it was an easy target. Another one that they went after is schools. They'll go after a public school because schools have a pretty loose on the security. And then another one that they recently did that caused a death is hospitals. They'll attack hospitals because they know they're going after places that are weak targets. Governments are getting attacked by other governments usually, or syndicates of giant syndicates that are funded by government organizations who do it full time, right? But soft targets like hospitals and schools and these pipelines and stuff, they're easy. Like this could be from somebody's basement. So let's just talk about this form here. This is really an informative guide here. I'm just going to go through this so you guys can know and it's pretty straightforward. So first one of the tips and tactics of ransomware and protecting your systems is to use antivirus software at all times. You'd be surprised how many organizations do not use software, and if they do use antivirus software, it's out of date. It doesn't have the correct signatures on it. A lot of organizations do that. This is the first line of defense. I mean, really, if you get a ransomware attack, the way that they usually infiltrate is with some sort of a malware. If you have some antivirus that's up to date, it can usually catch it. And it should also scan the emails and flash drives so it catches that attack vector. Okay, another thing you want to do is keep your computer fully patched. So let's say that you don't have antivirus software. The virus comes in. The first thing that it does, the first thing that malicious code does, is it goes after your weakest link, which is your unpatched computers. And that you normally like the browser or like Silverlight or something, Adobe or something like that that's not patched. That's a known vulnerability that the malware will attack and then infiltrate and then download the ransomware. Block access to ransomware sites. This is important because everybody knows where the biggest malware sites are at. So you should definitely block those either at your proxy or at your firewall or something. There should be like a blacklist that gets rid of these sites so nobody can go to them. Allow only authorized apps. Now, they say this like 3 times in 3 different ways that you'll see as I'm reading these. But this is huge because if you only allow authorized apps, your organization is controlling what is going on with those applications. You know that it's vendor supported. You know that it's already up to date. But if somebody brings something else in, you don't know what's going on with that. And that could be a way that the ransomware will get in. Number 5 is restrict personally owned devices. Like I said, so this is another way that they're kind of reiterating this thing of only allowing authorized stuff in. So if you have an organization that's allowing people to bring their own computers or their own phones or whatever and use those for business, it's a recipe for destruction because you don't know what kind of configuration that they have on there. And normally average person have no configurations on their personally owned systems. Standard user accounts. Use standard user accounts. What this means is don't allow people like normal users to have administrative privileges. A lot of organizations do this. They'll give their laptops out and then everybody has admin rights because it's their computer, right? Don't do that because as soon as the malware is in, it infiltrates and it usually runs as the person who is logged in. And if they have administrative privileges, guess what? So does the malware that just got into the system. Avoid using personal apps. Now, see that how they said this 3 different ways. Only use authorized apps and avoid using personal apps. So this is a whitelist right here where you only use what the organization says, and this is like a blacklist. Avoid using personal apps. No personal apps. This is stuff that you can't control. This is stuff that's coming from outside, and you don't know what configuration or what kind of security features are on it. And then beware of unknown sources. Seems kind of obvious, but if it's not vetted by an organization like Microsoft or Google or something like that, and it's from some unknown, of course there's all these devs out there who are trying to do good, but there's more that are trying to do bad, and it's coming from an unknown source. Do not allow these organizations to download from an unknown source. It's a big one. So this last bit here is actually very, very, very important. It's making sure that your organization is good before the ransomware attack even happens. Number one, make sure your organization has an incident response plan. Incident response plan, incident recovery plan. In other words, if in the event that the organization gets an attack, what are they going to do? How are they going to handle it? Who do they call? And then how are you going to recover afterwards? Number two, have a backup and restore especially of your most important assets, right? So if you have important assets, if you have a system that has all your most important files or a database or something like that, you want to have a backup plan, because half the time, even if that system got hacked, even if it had a ransomware attack on it, if you had everything set up beforehand, you had a recovery plan, you could just revert back to before it got hacked. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but it's just like, boom, you're back in business. So make sure you do that. And then a backup, even if the restore doesn't work, you can go to the most recent backup. And if it's back up frequently, you can just go back to next week and then you're good. Keep your contacts. Who do they contact when the ransomware attack occurs? This is really important, because ransomware is not going to happen with your security department, your cybersecurity department. It's going to happen to Joe Schmo who's in accounting down the hall. That guy needs to know, Joe needs to know exactly who to contact in the event that a ransomware happens. And actually, he needs to even know what's happening. Like, he should probably know what not to click on, to be honest with you. So he should probably have some kind of phishing training as well. So that's pretty much it of what they're saying. It's pretty explanatory. It's straightforward. I really like this little guide here. And if you are interested in here and on this one, here's the link right here's the site right here. It's on NIST site. If you just go to your favorite search engine and type in NIST ransomware guide, it'll come up as should be #1 on the list, unless you're using Yahoo. But anyway, yeah, so this is a pretty good little document. They have got a little video here that goes through the stuff I just said with some music and stuff like that. So yeah, make sure you do that. Just check that out. Maybe you want to take this whole infographic and put it somewhere in your facility.